How we doing, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. Football is well and truly back. That's all we're talking about now is Premier League football and, of course, Carabao Cup football. If anyone hasn't seen it, watch tonight's game because that is a fun-filled fixture. Manchester City 3, Liverpool 2. What an unbelievable game that was. It looked like it was
Good
rolling
game,
back
wasn't it?
a couple of years, Lee, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a good game. There was a little bit of argy-bargy in it as well. But I see a very, very good side of Manchester City. I watched them, but I also see a vulnerable side of them as well. You know, they're not as impressive as what they were a couple of seasons ago, Dan. I'm going to be honest. And last season, they can be got at. I'm not saying Arsenal are going to be that team to get them, but you know, vulnerable at certain things there. I don't think Liverpool are as good as what they were last season as well, if I'll be honest. So, but they have certain players in that team that are class. But do you know what was the biggest thing for me today? Do you know what the biggest thing for me was? Their bench players that they've got coming. How can you compete with that? Like, you know, we haven't got that strength in depth, nowhere near it. And that's the problem. You know, you made a great point today when we was talking earlier on. You know, they've got the two forwards they've got. We've only got one at the moment. Like, you know, and on Boxing Day, Dan, who's our forward coming off the bench?
We don't have one, do we?
We don't have one. How can you go into a Premier League season with just two strikers, you know, and expect to get away with it? Like, you know, that's my problem now. Like, we're down to one for these next two games. I expect things to happen there in January, and that's the problem. And that's the thing with that Man City side. Yeah, you know, Pep's great and all that, but look at the resources that they've got. Look at the players that he can bring on. Like, you know, Bernard Silva, by the way, come on with 2 minutes to go. You know what I mean? Like, incredible.
I will say, though, Lee, like if Darwin Nunez would have had his shooting boots on tonight, he could have had 2 or 3.
Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying, Dan. They are vulnerable. They give up chances. They're not, you know, they're not this. How can I say? Machine, false, whatever you like, that I've seen in the last couple of years. You know, as you say, if he would have took his chance, they give up chances. You know, and they did against Brentford, and Brentford beat them. Like, you know, so. You know, they're good. I'll tell you that they are very, very good. They're very, very good going forward. But if you can get them on a bad day up front, you know, I'm sorry, but that back four is not as good as ours. I'm telling you that now, like, you know what I mean? I mean that sincerely. I wouldn't want to have one of their centre halves over our two. I wouldn't.
No, listen, I do agree with what you're saying. In both senses that they can be got at. I mean, listen, some teams have got at them already this season, but my God, they're good going forward. Lee, I'm going to throw some names at you now. I'm going to ask you a question after it. All the time I hear these names, we start talking about Premier League greats: Gerrard, rightly so, Scholes, Lampard, Vieira, Keane. We have to put Kevin De Bruyne in that now, don't we?
Yeah.
This guy's unbelievable tonight. I mean, the passing range, the crossing, the amount of vision the guy's got. The you know, pinpoint passing. For me, I don't think I've seen somebody as good as him at crossing or passing a football league.
Yeah, I've got to say that. Like, shocking in the World Cup. Absolutely shocking. Had a real poor World Cup. But he's bang on it for Man City. I think that the way Man City play suits him. They're free-flowing, aren't they? And he just pops up where he wants, does it very, very well. I think he's a class player, and he's definitely up there. He's performed at the highest level in the Premier League, 5-6 seasons now, like, you know, and it doesn't look like he's stopping at this moment in time. So, yeah, brilliant player. And, you know, why Man City have got him and Haaland fit, they're a big danger, because going forward, they're very, very hard to stop. Very hard. You know, like Liverpool, I think, you know, decent side. 3 goals they've conceded against them today. Could have been more. But, you know, set pieces, Liverpool look vulnerable. If we're pretty good at set pieces. So if we can, you know, we've got them in January, it'd be really, really good. I think that, you know, if Jesus was playing in that game, I'd really like to see how we'd have got on against them. Like, but it'd be an interesting game. without a doubt.
Yeah, it will. And I look at the Carabao Cup final, draw tonight in about 20 minutes' time, and I couldn't give a damn really. But there's some good teams left in it in that Carabao Cup. To be fair, Manchester United and Manchester City are still in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Newcastle, Leicester. I think there's only Charlton that are outside of the Premier League. So
Who would you
it's good.
like to win it?
Who would I like to win it? Nottingham Forest. I'd love to see Forest win the cup, mate. Who do I think will win it? Man City. If it ain't Man City, if I'm realistic, mate, I probably wouldn't mind Leicester or Newcastle because I quite like them as football clubs. If I'm honest with you, I don't want Man United to win it. I don't want Man City to win it. So yeah, if it had to be a Premier League club, I'd probably go Newcastle or Leicester because I just feel like I like both clubs. I'd go Forest, but they ain't going to win it. I like Forest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I wouldn't be too bothered if Newcastle won it, like, you know. But I tell you what, I think Arsenal missed a trick here. You know, I think Arsenal should have done the business against Brighton. And after
Who
watching
Charlton
that
beat,
game,
by the way.
say again.
Who Charlton beat.
Yeah, Charlton, you know, beat on penalties. Yeah, we should have. If we'd have won that game, that would have been a real good game for us. Charlton away to have a competitive game just before the Premier League. I think today that's done Manchester City the world of good. That game today, they've won it, but I also think it's done Liverpool a world of good because they were both teams were at it today, and yeah, so it would have been a better test, if you know what I mean, than playing behind closed doors and friendlies
Yeah.
against Juventus. Do you know what I mean? I think it would have been a real good way to come back. And I remember when those games were going on, we was all saying, I don't want to be playing the first week back, you know, just before Christmas and all that. But looking at it now, I do think that teams need that little bit of an edge. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm bloody. You just don't know what's going to happen on
Having said
Boxing
that,
Day.
we would have played Newcastle at St James's Park because we would have been the Bournemouth number. Bournemouth were number one, and we would have
Right.
been number one. So it means we wouldn't have got Charlton if we beat Brighton. We would have got Newcastle at St James's
I
Park,
would have.
which is a tough game to go. But you know, I get what you're saying. Listen, I wanted to be in a trophy. I wanted to win everything. I'm never one of these just go out of that one and don't worry about that. I always wanted to go into the next game. So I stand by it. I don't think Arteta fancied it. I don't think he did. I think he looked at that against Brighton and thought, I don't think I'm not too fast. I'll just go with Nketiahs and all the others.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And then, I think he was like, it's a shame that we didn't do it, but we're out and now we get a nice break. And I think it's a shame, really, because I would have liked Sifsy has gone for it. And it would have been nice to still be in the hat. Having said that, don't look like some of the other teams did. Tottenham went out, Spurs went out, West Ham went out, Arsenal went out. Quite a few Liverpool now out. They're all gone out, ain't they? Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea, bless them. They got Man City in the Carabao Cup, and now they've drawn out Man City in the first round of the FA Cup. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable, that, isn't it? That is crazy. Yeah. But yeah, cups are cups, mate, and I always want to go for them 100%. But Lee, I wanted to talk to you about Martinelli because there's a lot of rumours coming out that this kid's signed up. A lot of rumours saying Martinelli's got on for a long-term contract, and they're saying it's like 5 years and 200k a week near on, and he's the first one. I wanted to ask your thoughts on it. I know, like me, you'll be really happy if they're true, but does it surprise you that he's the first one? I thought it might have been Saka first. What about you?
You know what I mean? I don't know what's happening with Saka. I've got this feeling that he's already signed the deal or it's been agreed, but I don't know. But I don't know why it's taking a little bit of time and all that. But I don't care what order it goes in, but all three have got to be signed up. And I'm baffled. I'm baffled with a few people that have questioned the amount. You know what I mean? Like he's, I think, potentially one of the best wide players. I'm a big Martinelli fan. I really am. I think he's going to be exceptional. He's nowhere near the finished article yet, and he's still brilliant at this moment in time. So when you've got the best or one of the best, you have to pay it. You know what I mean? Like £200,000 a week. Don't forget, we paid what, £6 million for him. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. It's the same with Saka. Get Saka signed on a big contract. It don't matter, you know what I mean? We got him for nothing. He's come through our academy, like, you know. The only one that you're going to have to negotiate a little bit probably tougher is Saliba because you spent a lot of money on him. But them three need to be signed up long term. And listen, I'll be celebrating very, very much when all three are all done, like, because they are exciting players. But Martinelli for me is fantastic, and if he does sign up for us, and he is true, I'm so delighted with it. It's unreal, like, you know what I mean. I don't care about how much he's on and whatever, like, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, I'm well, Arsenal are a big club, then, you know what I mean. We're paying big money. We're paying Eddie 100 grand a week, so Martinelli's twice the player of him, and that's not being horrible to Eddie. He's twice the player, so there you go. So it's twice the amount of money. So that's how it is. So um, I don't see why people will be moaning about it and all
I
that.
don't
Like,
get it
yeah.
either, mate. And I'll tell you another thing that winds me up about it, actually, is when people start trying to be accountants at Arsenal. Oh, we've saved this much money, and oh, he's got a lot of money there. It's like it's out of their pocket, isn't it? Actually, let's like just trust that actually they know what they're doing, and they've actually got to try and put money down to actually tempt these players. And if it costs £200,000 for Saka and 200,000 for Saliba and 200 for Martinelli, are they going to go? Oh no, thank you. We'll sell them all then, please. Sell all three of them. If they don't want 80k, they can leave. Don't get all that. Just play them what they need. Like
Yeah.
that £200,000 a week is going to cost less than it would to replace Martinelli. Trust me. If we added that up over the year and went and put that on a player, it wouldn't get you a Martinelli or a Saka or a Saliba. So let's just accept that it's going to cost that much. Get him signed up. I don't get it. You know, a lot of people I speak to are really good about it. They're like, "Yep, just pay it." Some of them, yeah, I think, what are you on? Like, what is actually wrong with giving a top player who you think one is going to be here for a long time, two wants to be here for a long time, and three has the potential to be one of the best players you've seen at the club for a long time? What the hell is the problem of giving him 200k a week? I don't get it, Lee. I can't
No,
understand it.
I don't get it. You only spent as we say, £6 million on him. It's a bargain, and we don't want to be going down the route of a selling club and selling our best players, our best young players. So I think these three deals are important just as much as what we've got to do in the transfer window. But I don't want to be hearing this. Oh well, yeah, that's good. I hear other people telling oh, it's a good deal. It's the best signing if we can get him done and him done and him done. Like, forget about no. Don't be brainwashing me with your, oh, this is good for the club and everything like that. Yes, it's very, very good for the club, but also you need to bring in some signings as well, and don't sugarcoat it because you're signing. Martinelli for 200 grand a week. Now, listen, people will say, oh, he's 21 years of age, it's young and he's everything like that. But there are players that are out there that are on more than that. Foden, by the way, has just signed a massive deal at Manchester City. If you want the best players, right, there's two ways to this. If you want the best players, you go and spend big money, right, on transfer fees, and you get those players ready made, or you go down a route where you produce them yourself, but got to pay them the money they deserve when it matters. That's what we're doing. So pay them the money they deserve.
There's a lot of people saying here in the chat, at least, saying like 200k a week. It's just 21. When he gets better in a couple of years, you need to reward him. What then? What about after that? Well, my biggest way to answer that is get with the times and keep going. Because trust me, no one's going to sit and stop on 200k a week. It's going to go up to 350. It's going to go up to 400. It's going to go up to 500. Hopefully, we're in a position where we're winning titles by then, and we can afford that. What I don't understand is when you're not happy to give someone a fan that. What's the other option? Sell them then. Just get rid of all of our kids because they're all going to want too much money. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So for me, you have to give them what they want. Otherwise, you risk losing them and you risk
Of
throwing
course
away
you're
all
going to
of
lose
this.
them. So what's the point, Dan? What's the point of bringing these players through the ranks and then selling them? What
There
we're
is no
just
point.
we're a glorified Leicester or glorified Brighton. No, we're not. You know what I mean? Like we've got players on 200 grand a week. You don't think that players like Jesus are not on 200 grand a week, do you? And we spent big money on him as well, like Dan. You know what I mean? Like, come on, you don't think Shevchenko's on edge on coming out, and he's getting 40 quid a week. Come on, they're being paid top
100%,
money,
mate.
you know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%, mate. What I wanted to touch on as well, mate, was if you believe that this Martinelli deal will then what's the word? Have a domino effect on the other two, Saka and Saliba. Do you think once one of them signs, the other two will be behind it? Or do you think they'll hold off? Do you think Saliba's still umming and ahhing? Do you think Saka's just agents trying to play a game? Like, what do you think's happening? Or do you think all three of them are like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're happy?
I think all three of them. I think I wouldn't be surprised if all three come out. It's the same at the same time. What a boost that would be if
Yeah,
all three
imagine.
come out and say they've done it. Signing on like it would be a big boost. But I don't want it clouding what needs to be done in January. I don't want to hear like, oh well, we've bought these three players on big contracts, so we can't spend money on this and money on that. Let me get this straight again. We go into the game against West Ham and Brighton with no recognised forward on the bench. What happens if we go a goal down? What happens if Eddie gets injured? What are we going to do? So nothing can be clouded from the fact is that, yes, you've got to sign these players because you've invested the time in them, right? And I don't want to see us investing players and then like selling them in like because that would be pointless. Because we've all invested our time and in these players as well, but not so much Saliba because he's come in and just been fantastic from day one. But certainly with Martinelli, we've had to be patient with him when he's not been playing, everything like that, and the manager turning around and saying, "Oh, he's not quite ready for this and that." Now he's ready for it, and then we're going to sell him. No, thank you. So that needs to be sorted out. But more importantly, we need to bring in players in January and ASAP as well, mate. I'm really sorry. I'm not moaning or groaning or nothing there. I'll emphasise it again. We have no striker going into these next two games coming off the bench. What we've got is Vieira. I think will probably be the only one. Name somebody. Anybody come up with a name that's going to be in
It's worrying, mate. The front three is really short. We saw that in the mid-season friendlies in Dubai Cup and against Juventus. We had absolutely nothing. And when Kozia Dubry's coming on and causing problems, there's actually a problem within the team if that's happening, because that should not be happening. It's great in a cup game when that's, sort of the next kid that you're going to be looking at. But if he's actually one of the players that people are now going, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing him coming on instead of Marquinhos, there's some problems there, Lee, for me. Nothing against the youngsters. I love seeing youngsters at Arsenal, and I'm one of the biggest advocates for it. But when it comes to it, mate, we're trying to go for a title here, not trying to squeeze into top six. So we need to make sure that we can get the players in. Before we come into that, because we will, I wanted to touch on the I don't even know if to call it a documentary last night, mate, with Arteta and Carragher, but I did watch it on the Monday Night Football. I was impressed with parts of it. I can't lie. As someone who's always questioned what we're trying to achieve from an ownership and regime and the board and manager, over the last 3 years, I have questioned him. I've criticised him, and justifiably so. I've wanted him sacked a few number of occasions, but you can't help but like everything he says, the way he comes across. More importantly for me, though, it was being blunt about what he was asked, which I liked. And I've not really seen that so much from Mikel Arteta. I've seen a little bit of waftiness. And I understand that you have to, as a manager, you have to tell a little bit of white lies sometimes. I don't know any manager that hasn't. But what I really liked and that really got me excited was the fact that he'd said, to do what we want to do, I need X, Y, and Z in January. And in 18 months' time, I know what the vision of the team looks like. And that, to me, knows or says to me, Lee, unless he's completely lying and talking rubbish, which I don't think he will, to be fair, means we can get excited about the near future for Arsenal. And I hope that means that in January, that's the start of it, Lee.
Yeah, I was impressed with that. I have to say, I enjoyed the interview. I was impressed with what he said. It was very, very good. If I be honest, I'm not sure about the timing. Me and you spoke about that. We're 14 games in. It's looked like, we just won the league the way they were talking to him and all that. Like,
yeah, it was bizarre, wasn't it?
Bizarre that, it seems to me like they're looking to build him up to knock him down sort of thing. So I think we've got to be a little bit careful about that. Personally, I think that I'm with you on that. He's changed my way of thinking. Results, of course, do help that. You know what I mean? But I do believe that he's very, very fortunate to be in a job. And I think he actually sort of went on that road.
Yeah, he did. I liked that. I
Yeah,
liked that
he sort
because
of said, I
everyone
mean,
says he's arrogant, and to be fair, he probably might be, but he weren't there because he kind of did say, "I think I am lucky to be here. It's a massive job. It was big, big.
yeah,
This is
and it
Arsenal,"
could have
and I
gone.
like
It
that.
could have gone. Yeah, I like that, and it could have gone the other way. So, and I think he's very, very fortunate that he wasn't sacked. Do I think it's the right decision? Well, listen, you have to turn around and say fantastically that the. See, I think what you have to look at it right, and I think me and you may be a little bit guilty of this, and we looked at it. Oh, it's a cheap option now. We've gone for Arteta because we ain't got to spend big on a big money and ain't got to spend big on transfers and all that. He's sort of I knocked that down a little bit and basically like it does look like the owners believed in him for whatever reason, and have really backed him and Edu believes in him as well, and they're all working as a team. I quite like that now and it's changed my perspective of it. I want him to be successful. I want him to do well. I want to be proved wrong. And I've always wanted to be proved wrong. You know what I mean? And
Well, if we
I,
prove
I,
wrong,
I'm
mate, it means we're winning a title.
well,
So of
exactly,
course
and
we want to
and
be
and,
proved wrong.
and I have really enjoyed what we've done over these last
14
few
games.
months, and
Yeah.
and also last season. I never really went mad last season when we didn't get to the top four. I see things improve. After a horrendous start, once he got his players in. They learnt from the mistakes from the summer by getting the signings in early this time, and look what's happened. They made mistakes last January. I don't think that they're making mistakes this time around. And I'm going to be really honest. I'm actually trusting the board. I'm actually believing in what the Cronkies are saying, and I'm believing in what Mikel and Edu are trying to do. But a lot will be told when January ends. You know what I mean? As I say, you cannot go into this season with one striker, and let's not go. Oh well, Jesus is coming back. This and that. I'm going to be wary of that. He might not come back the same player because of the injury for a little while. You've got to get into. You're going to come back and he might amaze us and do that. Dan, I don't know, but you're thinking 3, 4, 5 games before he gets up to speed. That's March. This is a massive, massive month for us, not just on the pitch but off it, and I do believe that.
Well, listen, I'm going to have my say quick on the Arteta thing from last night because timing, I agree with you. Actually, the timing, the reason it was is because it was 3 years to the day, I think, that Arteta had taken over. So I get that. But I understand what you're saying because the way that they put him on the sofa and started to shine the light on it was if he's absolutely turned his career around, and look at him now, it's unbelievable. Well, 14 games last time I checked don't win you a title. Now, if he had won a title, I can understand all the praise that he was getting, and he should have received a hell of a lot more. But I do see changes this season, and I'll tell you what they are, because somebody asked me this. I think it was James actually, or someone asked me, "What is the difference in this season?" And the easiest way for me to explain it, because it ain't just signings, Lee. It ain't just Jesus. He's the difference. There's more to it than that. For me, I've seen all of the praise that even myself and you have given off the pitch. I've seen off the pitch now start to turn into on the pitch. And all the hard work off the pitch that they've done in the last 3 years, which has been hard work because it's not been an easy job, is now starting to show on the pitch.
Yeah.
The togetherness, the team, the stadium together, all the fans, the connect between the manager, the players, the board, everything seems together. That is now starting to show the results on the pitch. The other thing that's changed that I think has been key is learning from mistakes, but learning from mistakes quickly, because some of them happened this season, by the way. One of them was at Old Trafford. And I know it come out today, which we won't go into because it will frustrate us, about VAR getting it wrong and that Martinelli's goal should have counted at Old Trafford. But actually, that game, the reason we lost it wasn't because of that. It was because of naivety. And already we've seen against Chelsea and some of the other games, to be fair, when we've gone to get either 1-0 up, we've got back into a game, we haven't got to gung-ho and then lost it. We've actually controlled the game and either saw it out, like against Leeds, haven't lost the game, like against Southampton, or we've managed to do very, very well bounce back ability, which is something we've never been able to do. 1-0 down, we lost the game last season. I don't think we did it against Wolves once in 38 games. We went 1-0 down and won the game at home. The rest of them we lost. This season already, we see us go 1-0 down at Fulham. We turned it round. I think it was Leicester and Villa. We were already winning the game, but they got back into it, bang, straight away, 3-2 or 2-1. We got back at them. That is something we've definitely not seen under Mikel Arteta in the last 2-3 years until this season. So I think that he has learnt a lot. He's also learnt personnel and versatility. This season is the most versatile I've seen Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. We've seen Tomiyasu playing a few positions, Ben White going at right back, knowing he can play centre back. I haven't seen Granit Xhaka out at left back. It's been lovely not to see that, yeah? I've seen people swapping positions in midfield and up top. Jesus is dropping deep and showing he can play right or left. That is definitely something I've seen. I think as well, this inverted role that Tomiyasu and Ben White can play, Zinchenko can play, Tierney's now starting in the last few games of pre-season, if you've noticed, playing that a little bit better. So I'm starting to see that a lot more. So I don't know that there's one thing that's changed. It's not, I don't know if you disagree, but last season it weren't. Why he's so good this season? Because Gabriel Jesus is at Arsenal. One, that's the easy answer and the easy way out. And two, I actually think it's wrong. I think it's a hell of a lot more than just Jesus. I think Saliba coming back's great as well. But I also look at what we're doing off the pitch and on the pitch and thinking, okay, off the pitch was like up here, on the pitch was down here. Now it's starting to do that. And we're starting to see why it was so important to do that. That's my way of looking at it when I looked at that last night about Mikel Arteta. Lee.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, listen, he deserves a lot of credit, and I think that he has getting the credit, and deservedly so. I think that the two biggest game changers for me are from this, and it's always, Kevin's always gone about it, over in the hybrid squad, isn't he? Like, it's all about players. He's always said that. He's, players, players, players. And that got a lot of stick because he stuck up for the manager last season, blaming players. But the introduction of Jesus and Saliba have been absolutely unbelievable. It's been fantastic. Like, they've done really, really well. They've come in and done exceptionally well, if I'll be honest. And they have transformed us. Now, I also think you have to give Mikel a lot of credit for. Look at the players now that have come in and been successful. And we can go from the whole team if you want. Like, Ramsdale coming in has been a brilliant signing. Like, you look at Ben White, played over the odds for him a little bit, but been fantastic. Gabriel, brilliant signing. Like, Saliba's come back. Whether you like it or whether you're not, I think it was the right time for him to come back in. Like, Tomiyasu, I never heard of Tomiyasu. Been brilliant since he's come in. A bit of injuries, but same as Zinchenko when he plays. I'm not Tierney because Tierney wasn't his signing, but then you go like look into the midfield. Thomas Partey. I believe if Thomas Partey plays against Man United, despite that VAR decision, I think we win that game. I think he's very, very pivotal to what we do.
Massive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's massive, like, and this time around he seems to be, I'll probably curse it now, but staying fitter and all that, like, been a great signing. Even though he's not our sign, it wasn't a Mikel signing, what he's done with Granit Xhaka is amazing, and then you look at the Martinellis and Sakas, they were here, but he's developed them, and of course Jesus up front has been unbelievable. But now I'm going to say this now. It's a massive, massive thing for him now, because this is where I think we will see if Mikel was a genius and the genius manager that everybody believes that he is, and we're hoping that he is, because he's now got to make Jesus that. He's got to make Eddie do the business, and I think that
Absolutely.
This is a real. If he's backed Eddie, give him the 14 shirt, give him a good contract, please, now, Eddie. Reward yourself, more importantly, but also reward the manager for backing you, like, and do the business. And listen, you get an opportunity, Dan. Sometimes in football, I had a real good conversation once with bloody hell, Bentley, David Bentley.
David Bentley.
Lives around this way. Never really got the opportunity at Arsenal, and he said, when I was coming through the ranks, I had Perez, Lundberg to break through, on the flanks, you know what I mean? And if I wanted to play in the hole, I had Dennis Bergkamp, right? So the opportunities sometimes don't come around for him. He had to leave because he wasn't getting the opportunities, like, Now, Eddie could have been in that same position Dan. No, Jesus
Easily, yeah.
playing and what that. Now he's got an opportunity. Please take the opportunity, like, you know.
Listen, I think you're right, and I actually believe Eddie's already had a couple of opportunities, Lee, and it ain't gone for him. I think the back end of last season saved him a little bit of credit in the bank. I ain't seen that Eddie yet. I ain't seen him yet. Now I know he scored against Bodo Glimt and it was a nice goal, and I know he scored a header against Zurich and it was nice. But when he has had the opportunity to play up top, it ain't quite worked for him this season yet. And in the friendlies that we've seen, I ain't been convinced. Now, I understand that it ain't always about scoring goals because Jesus hasn't scored for God knows how long, 5 goals in 14 games. But actually, when you look at things, I do believe that there's a lot more that Eddie has definitely improved upon, but it's still ain't enough for me. And I look at the situation right now, and if Eddie ain't doing it, what happens? Nothing. He has to stay on. If he's having a stinker, if he's missing sitters, if he's not touching the ball, if it ain't working for him, if he's getting muscled off, he's getting bullied, what do? We have to bring Martinelli on and somebody wide to play in the middle. Sorry, not bring Martinelli on, but you know what I mean? Bring him into the middle
Yes.
and put somebody wide. So that ain't right, mate. And luckily, there's only 2 games until the window opens. So before we go into that, there's a couple of super chats I want to throw at you, Lee. First one is from Tanya. Big up, Tanya. Says, big up, Lee and Dan. Are you concerned with Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu's fitness? Saliba and Tomiyasu need to get back ASAP. And I'm also concerned with our contract situation. There is problems, if I'm honest with you, with Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu, and Zinchenko has to be thrown into there of late this season, mate. Can't seem to keep fit, can they?
No, bit of a worry, another setback. Listen, that can happen when you've had an operation and all that. Like, I don't want to be. I don't really want to be too negative on Smith Rowe, and I'm not going to really be saying, right, well, he's back and we've got to rely on him, because you don't know what you're going to get. He's been out for a very, very long while now. What I will say is, if you know, everybody's fit and everything like that, what a great player that we've got on the squad, someone that can come in and do a job, and you know that he's a quality player. But he needs to get fit and get fit quick. I was disappointed. I actually thought that he would be involved in all these games and be ready for Boxing Day. Mikel was actually saying that he might actually still be all right for Boxing Day, but if he is, he's not, you know, played any sort of game, so we'll have to wait and see. And he's going to have to be nursed in quickly. And if he's not going to be playing, then I'm looking at now Oxford. Is he in the FA Cup as a return for him, which is about another 2 weeks away. So, it is a bit of a worry. I think all those worry. You know what I mean? Look, you know, Tomiyasu, you know, I see him being turned out for Japan in the World Cup and not, you know. And I've got to say this now. I don't know about you on this one. I see Mbappe back in training with PSG and Saliba ain't back till tomorrow. You know, what's all that about? You know,
Don't get that either, mate. Don't get that either. Saliba's not
he should be back. He should be back and be, you know. And Mikel, I don't know if that's a little forward. I don't really know if we'll see how he is. Well, you know, he hasn't played. He played 30 odd minutes. He should be straight back in and playing.
I think they will. Yeah,
I think he should be. But like, you know, comes back tomorrow. I'm not too happy with that.
Well, it's worrying, man. We'll go into team news in a little bit after we've spoken a bit about transfers. Nketiah says, I hope we can get either Alexis McAllister from Brighton, who's a good player, Unai, is it? I can't say that name. Or Caicedo from Brighton as a backup for Partey. Yeah. With Marcus Thuram, who I've always liked, by the way. Always liked him at Mönchengladbach. More of a kind of winger-type striker, but I really like him. As backup for Jesus. Still excited though. Yeah, big up yourself, Nicole, and thanks for the super chat. I must admit, Lee, we're talking about a lot of names all the time. They hear rumours. Yeah. I've got to be honest with you. Oh, I've missed one as well. Smokey's, this made me laugh. So imagine Jordan from AFTV on Lee Judge's TV. I'm sure that can happen one day, Smokey.
Yeah, I'll get Jordan I'm sure
on. Like, we'll get Jordan on. That'll be a laugh. I must admit, Lee, if you had to ask me now, I think we're going to get Mudryk. I don't think we're going to get a striker, mate. I think we're going to get Mudryk and play Martinelli down the middle if Eddie don't do it.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I'm happy with that. I don't think there'd be much of a drop off.
Do you not think we need both though, like a striker as well?
Say again? No, because you've got two. Then you've got Jesus coming back. I think, look, listen, we've all, I've seen, I think that he could play that striker's role. I think that, but what you don't want happening, Dan, is like, all right, Jesus, you're playing against Oxford on the left-hand side, and then Tottenham 3 days later or 4 days later, you're
Yeah,
playing centre forward. And in the next game, you're having to go back. You can't continue. He's going to have to be rested as well. So you're going to have to bring somebody in. I also think Nelson's going to be a lot. I don't think he's coming back now till February.
yeah.
About
Apparently, he's
five,
got a
6
few
weeks.
weeks
So
out now.
it's getting like we're down. We are down to the bare bone. We've got Vieira, who's not really a wideish player. That's who we've got. Marquinhos is, someone that's for the future, and he's not going to come in and take the game by the scruff of the neck. We know that. So we're down to 3 players at the moment. Them 3 are going to have to play every single game, and it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
So let me ask you this: if Eddie bangs and it looks good, 2 against West Ham, 2 against Brighton, oh, he's scoring against United now as well, and Newcastle and Spurs, then that's fantastic. Like, everybody wants to see that, right? Everyone wants Eddie to score while Jesus is out. We still need another forward, though, Lee, don't we? We can't
Yeah,
just sit there
of
and
course you
say,
do. 100%. It's not just about what Eddie does. Eddie, look, listen, Eddie could go on there and be. We was talking about this on the Invincibles earlier on today. Like, what the ideal scenario for us is that Eddie comes in now and the next England squad, he's in it, because that
of
means that
course,
he's done the business and
he's
scored
been
loads
brilliant.
of goals, right? But it still doesn't get away from the fact that we haven't got no striker on the bench. That's the end of it. Like, we went through this 4 year ago, 5 year, more, maybe even more
With
than that, when we
Giroud,
just had Giroud up front on his own. We've got we're Arsenal Football Club. It ain't acceptable. So, and I'm sorry, I mean, injuries are going to happen. Especially with Arsenal, we don't have no luck with injuries, so it's coming. You knew that was coming.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You knew it was coming, and I'm not being horrible. If it was Eddie that was injured, which would have Jesus, who's coming on who's giving him a break. So it's not just because it's Jesus that's injured. We need somebody else, and that's it. Um, so what's this? If Haaland was injured, would Man City have a striker on the bench? Yeah, it's just got a World Cup winner on the bench. That's who they've got on the bench now.
Julian
You know what I mean?
Alvarez is on the bench, man.
You've
What
got
is he talking
Alvarez on the
about?
bench. You know what I mean? So yeah, listen, drop of standard, of course it is. You know what I mean? If they lose Haaland, but I don't think they have. I think Haaland played today. Is he injured? And I'm pretty sure if he does get injured next week, they will get someone in January and wouldn't just go with him up front. Like, I'll be honest. I bet, and
And also, like, Pep does play Palmer or Foden or Mahrez all in false 9 positions and has them all drilled. So we ain't got that, That's why we're all saying we might have to have Martinelli in that false 9 or in a position like that, because he might
yeah,
have to be our third choice here. That's what I'm
we
saying. So,
we play a different system. We
come
don't,
on.
I mean, Jesus isn't all about goals, is he? We know that, you know what I mean? So Eddie's a different player as well. Let's get this right. Martinelli's more, if I'll be honest, Dan, you've watched all the games as well. Martinelli's more of a like for like than with Jesus. Eddie's a
Yes,
different striker. So if you're playing this way, that's got you to 5 points clear. Well, you're either going to have to change it to suit Eddie, or you go with the same personnel, But then if you're playing Martinelli who are you playing on the left hand side? Because Smith Rowe's not back now at this moment in time. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. Interesting to see what
it
they
will.
do.
It really will, man. I agree with you that it's Eddie's chance now to shine, and I hope that he does it. Let's move on to West Ham, and in fact, let's not move on to West Ham. Let's move on to the next run of games, because it ain't just West Ham. I expect the team news to be the same as it has been throughout the season, other than Jesus. It'll be Eddie, I think, anyway, that he goes with. I might expect Martinelli and Saka to be either side of him. I'm expecting to see Xhaka at a garden party. I'm expecting to see Saliba alongside Gabriel with Ben White and Tierney, because I don't think Zinchenko's kicked the ball for a while, and then Ramsdale in goal. West Ham, I expect their players to play. I really do. I think Rice will be fine. I think that Paqueta will be fine. Agerd, I reckon, will probably play because he's been so good for Morocco in the World Cup. I think he did get a knock, though. I might be wrong. I think he got an injury, but if he's fit, he'll play. And Kera obviously was at Germany and they went out near the side. So they'll have a full strength side, I believe, West Ham. But looking at these games, Lee, I mean, I've got to be honest, yeah, they're 5 games, 6 games plus Oxford, that I'd expect Arsenal to win, if I'm honest with you. But Tottenham is going to be tricky. Newcastle, Man United is going to be tricky. But actually, out of the 5 games in the Premier League, 3 of them are at the Emirates. That's got to be a good omen for us because we do well there. So I wanted to get your kind of overall feeling going into these 2 first of all, and then January we windows open. We've got another 3, which, to be fair, going to be bloody hard along with Oxford. So I just wanted to get your feelings, mate, about it.
My feelings are simple as this: like, if Arsenal beat West Ham and Brighton, I will be going into those games in January very, very comfortable. Like, very comfortable that we can get results. Like, so. Then it just eases it a little bit, like, going into those games. But if we was to lose those 2 games or not win those 2 games, then the pressure on the Newcastle game, the pressure then on the Spurs away from, the pressure on Man United will be intense. So I think these 2 games are very, very just crush everybody's negativities, crush everybody's little nervousness about it. Like, I'm not negative about West Ham. I think we'll beat West Ham, but I'm bloody nervous because it could go wrong. You know what I mean? But I would be bouncing to the Emirates if Jesus was playing. You know what I mean? But I'm a little bit nervous. I can't lie about that. I'm not going to say that I'm not. Oh yeah, we're going to win and all that. Like, if we win that game and then we go and get the result against Brighton, we go into that game against Newcastle. Look, we know we're still 5 points clear. By the way, if we win our next 2 games going into that Newcastle, then we beat Newcastle, we're 5 points clear, whatever happens at Tottenham. You know, the pressure just eases a little bit. Like, do you know what I mean, Dan? That's all I'm saying. Like,
no, I do agree. Like, going into Tottenham and you're 5 points clear, wow, that'd be,
yeah, exactly.
like
But if you
the
lose,
pressure of
you're going to
last
be
year
going into
going there,
4th.
like, to this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, if you lose to them, they go above you and things like that. That's when the pressure will tell. Like, these 2 games are massive. I think that if we can get through these 2 games, and I don't care if we scrape through 1-0, 1-0, if we can get 6 points from these 2 games, that'd be for me. Listen, if we'd have played Wolves back in November, and then the following week was the West Ham game, and then the following week game was Brighton, I would have been confident that we'd have picked up 6 points. The feelings that I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit about it, because we just don't know what's going to happen now. You know what I mean? You don't know how the players are. You don't know what it's all unknown to us at this moment in time, and that's probably what's given me a little bit of nerves as well. Like, Dan, if I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, fair play to you, man. Look, Man City have got Leeds, and they've got Everton at home. I'm just looking at their fixtures now. And then obviously we got West Ham, Brighton. So January is mad for both of us. We've obviously got Newcastle, Man United, and Spurs. Man City have got Chelsea, Spurs, and Man United. I didn't realise that.
No, we didn't have. So it just shows you, didn't it? You know what I mean? So that's why even more.
We got a tough one, but so did they. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
of course.
it really is a tough January for the both of us. I mean, Man City are class, don't get me wrong, and we have been class, but neither of us would want to pick those fixtures. Do you know what I mean? Going back after the World Cup. So it's going to be interesting how it goes. I've got to bring up this comment, Lee, because this comment, right, and big up Andrew Ngiala. I hope I've got that surname right and haven't butchered it. This is absolutely top draw, right? Liverpool have got Firmino and Nunez and Jota. Man City have got Haaland and Alvarez. Chelsea have got Aubameyang, Broja and Havertz. Spurs have got Kane, Richarlison and obviously Son. Newcastle have got Alexander Isak, Chris Wood and Callum Wilson. And Arsenal at the moment have got Eddie Nketiah. That is absolutely bang on, Andrew. And that proves to me, Lee, why we're short, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but like that Chelsea haven't got Brozier, have they? Like he's injured as well, like
Well, he's now
So
injured, yeah, but I don't think that was his point. I think his point is
no, and it's a
everyone's got
great
some
point. He's
backups,
got
you know.
the other teams have all got backups. You know what I mean? Like if you look at Tottenham, you know what I mean. One of those players of those four, all internationals, by the way. One of them's going to be left out. One of them's going to come off the bench and make a difference. It's not all about the starting 11 these days in football. Like you looked at the World Cup, there was decisions made by substitutes coming on and changing games and things like that, can be a game changer. Listen, look, I remember last season at Wolves. I know you just earlier on and said, that's the only time we come back. Why did we come back? We brought on Pepe that day and he changed the game, so I'm not saying Pepe's the answer, but it was a substitute that come on and changed that game for us. I don't see that in this team at this moment in time, and that's a great point. Every team has got backup. Listen, we've got 2 games, Dan, where we haven't got that backup, but in January we've got an option to do it. Wouldn't it be great? Arsenal beat West Ham, beat Brighton before they go into the game against Newcastle. We've got somebody, whoever it is, you know what I mean? Like I
Absolutely,
say,
mate.
he's Madrid, and and he's on the bench at a game against Newcastle. That's what you want, then. Then he plays against Oxford and gets a run out then, and he's ready. He's ready to go for those 3 important games that we've got in the league. So I think it's you know it's no good bringing somebody in on the 1st of February. By the way, got 5 weeks now. We need to get that striker in early before we play Spurs. Before we go into those games, we can't do nothing about it now. It's just the way it is. That's injuries. You can't do nothing about it, but we can do something about it on January the 1st, and I'm bloody hoping that we can.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think we will get players. I don't know how many, I don't know what positions, but I do think we'll get
Yeah,
players, not
I
one.
think we will.
I think we have to. And,
Yeah,
some people in the chat are saying we're being negative and I'm being negative and I'm looking at things are full. It's just facts. We've got one striker. Like, let's actually be just real about it. If we want a title, if the guys in the chat want 4th or 6th or whatever, that's fine. Stick with what we got. We'll get it. But I want to go for a title. We're actually going for a title here with Man City, from what I can look at anyway. We're top of the table and things are looking good. So that's what I want to see, man.
yeah.
Get
It's
some
not.
players
We're
in
not
and let's
being
go
doom
for it.
and gloom. We're not being doom and gloom. We're just being realistic at the moment, like with the lack of depth in the squad, like But
100%.
listen, we're both of us. I'll say it now. I'm predicting Arsenal win 2-0. I don't know what are you predicting, Dan?
Yeah, I said 2-0 as well, funny enough.
2-0. So we're not being negative. We're predicting that Arsenal will win, but we're just saying it how it is. You know what I mean? Like, but we're confident that I'm confident. I'm backing Eddie. And my manager's backing him. You know what I mean? Like, and I hope that the Arsenal fans do on that game. Give him all the support that
I
he
think they
gets.
will. I think they will. And we all hope
Yeah,
he does it. But even if he
yeah.
does it,
Of course we do.
we
Like,
still
you know
need
what I mean? If
someone,
he
don't
gets
we?
a chance, I want us to win that game. And before, I don't really care who scores the goals. I want us to beat West Ham and him to be on the score sheet. That is important for me, that he's on the score sheet. So let's hope that he is.
I hope he is as well, man. I actually like the kid as well, Eddie. I like everything about him in terms of his personality. Apparently, he's a cracking kid to talk to as well and get to know. I just want to see the guy do well, man. I really do. And it's a struggle for me because even if he does do well, we still need somebody. Because if he gets Croxley, we really are stuffed. We have absolutely nobody. So there we go. When it comes to it, Lee, I spoke today with some of the lads on my channel, and all from different sort of clubs, and they're all the same, and they're all like, "Look, if Arsenal don't sign anyone, no way in this title, absolutely no way at all. They need to look at this X, Y, and Z." So it ain't just us. There is actual other football fans looking at Arsenal going, "I think they've got a chance if they get 2 or 3 in." That's all. Everyone said it. Not one of them went, "Oh, they'll win the title easy. They don't need anything. They're brilliant." Come on, man. We got to get a couple of players in at
Yeah.
least and look at going for it. And I'm confident that we will. I am. I'm confident that we will. 100%. Looking forward though, Lee. West Ham, we've gone for our predictions 2-0. Brighton ain't going to be easy because it never
No.
is their place. New Year's Eve as well. And then we go into 3 games, which are, let's be honest, probably top 6 teams this season. Man United, Tottenham, and Newcastle. Talk to me. What's your thoughts?
Again, it depends on these two games. Dan, depends what happens in these two games. If we win these two games coming up, then we'll sit down on after the New Year's Eve fixture, maybe like New Year's Day or the second. We'll sit down before that Newcastle game, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel about going into
Mm.
those games. If we've won those two games, I'll be confident, looking forward to going in against Newcastle. Bring it on. If we've not picked up the points I suspect that we should, then that's going to be another nervous thing, So it really, these next two games for me are massive, and it will tell you all you need to know. Listen, they could be a lot worse games, if I'll be honest. Home to Newcastle, home to Manchester United, West Ham are in poor form, and then Brighton, we don't know what they're going to be like. They just couldn't beat Charlton last night, so we don't know. But then you've got three teams that, if you were to, and I'll be really honest with you, Dan, you've got Newcastle at home and Manchester United at home. Let's take them two first. We can't afford to lose one of them games. We've got to win both or not lose. And then the Spurs game, as I say, if we go to White Hart Lane, 5 points clear at the top of the table, we have got, and if we're 5 points clear of them, we could be of Manchester City. I don't know, we're 8 points clear of Spurs at this moment. We go to White Hart Lane, 8 points clear of them.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Let them bring it. They're going to have to bring the game to us. And we'll see, but that's how I see it at this moment in time, Dan. It really depends on these two games. If we was to lose these two games, I would be like panicking left, right, and centre going to that Newcastle game. I don't think that we will be. I think that we'll beat West Ham, and I think that we'll scrape through against Brighton, because I think defensively we're very, very good still. All in all, we're only missing one player. We're only missing one player from this moment in time. So that and a big club like Arsenal can cope with one injury. I remember going back in when we lost Dennis Bergkamp back in '98, and everybody was panicking. We had a player called Christopher Ray come in, and he come in. He's nowhere near as good as Dennis Bergkamp, but he contributed. That's all we're asking Eddie to do now, is to contribute.
Well, he got us to the final of the FA Cup, didn't he? With a goal against Wolves. So, listen, you bang on with what you're saying, mate. You bang on with what you're saying. Last question, Lee. If we are going to get anyone, which I think we will, what game do you think that we will be looking to have that player on the bench? Obviously, West Ham are quite a bit. Go on.
I'm going to say this now. We need to have the player so that he's playing at Oxford United.
Okay.
So he gets some minutes under his belt with the less pressure of those Premier League games. That's what I'm saying. That would be for me. That's when he gets his first start if he comes in there. I don't want to see it being the end of January, and I do want to see a player, whether it be Mudryk or whoever it is, in that squad against Tottenham Hotspur. End of.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to be realistic with that as well, because you ain't going to get him in for Newcastle, because he's only been like a couple of days. But I certainly think it's realistic to try and get him in for the FA Cup.
I think it's is it the 17th of
17th of January.
So it's the 18th of January. So I think
it gives you 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's on a Sunday, isn't it? So
2 weeks to get fit for that one, doesn't it? Basically.
Yeah. So you've got 2 weeks to do the business. 2 weeks.
Yeah, mate, it's got to be done, and I think we will. I think we have to, Lee. I don't think everything coming out about links and rumours. Same names we've been linked with for absolutely forever. It seems Danilo, Tielemans, Mudryk, other names that are coming towards the forward line now because of that. Summer moves for Ndeka, I'm hearing at centre half, who I'm a big fan of, left centre back from Stuttgart, who's going to be a free transfer. Milinkovic Savic, obviously Tielemans is a free then as well. I think Milinkovic Savic is the big one we want to go for in the summer, which would be a really good midfield player. So I like all that, but at the moment, I don't care about the summer. I care about the January transfer window and what we're going to get in, and I think we'll do some business, mate. Lee, absolute pleasure, mate. You're going 2-0, did you say? Same as me, yeah?
2-0, going for 2-0.
Good stuff, mate. Listen, before we close, make sure, and I'll speak to you anyway, but as soon as we're on here, you have a wicked Christmas, my friend.
Yeah, you too, mate. Merry Christmas to you and the family. And, of course, also to everybody that has subscribed and watches us and everything like that. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the contributions you guys make as well. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do this. So I was just wishing everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. I won't say Happy New Year because we'll hopefully be back before that. In between, we'll try and do one in between Christmas. But so yeah, everybody really, have a very, very nice. Don't drink too much. All right.
And don't drink and drive. That's the main one.
Don't drink and drive, and stuff your faces with as much food as you can, because there's only one day.
Absolutely.
Enjoy
Be
it.
merry, drink loads, people, and more importantly, enjoy the football. And hopefully, we can get 3 points and get Arsenal back into what we believe at the moment is a title race. Continue our run. Come on, the Arsenal. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
And
Christmas,
have a great
everybody.
one.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal.